Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I wanted to make an offlane tier list. The 5 best heroes for the offlane of 7.31b. I guess, it's now the B patch, so it's not just 7.31. I do want to kind of give 2 honorable mentions and also mention that there's a very versatile hero pool in the offlane right now. I think the offlane is maybe the most flexible role of the patch. I've been making a couple of tier lists, you guys know that. I made the mid lane and I made the safe lane, and it was pretty easy for me to choose heroes for those roles. I felt pretty confident within my choices. But for the offlane, I think there's a lot of heroes that, in the right situation, in the right matchups, are incredibly good right now. So if you're looking for a role to play that has a lot of versatility, I would say the offlane role is for you. And now let's get into it. Also, I just want to remind you guys, right now, if you use the code GETGOOD, you can get 50% off your gameleap sub. And the reason why this is key is if you're getting stuck in your ranked games, guys, I can tell you for a fact, I know how to help you gain rank. I know how to help you get out of the trench. I've gotten so many players, whether it's through gameleap videos, YouTube videos, the website videos, coaching, whatever it is, I've helped so many players get to the next rank. So if you are feeling like you are stuck and you want to become absolutely broken, you have to check out the gameleap website and sign up down below right now. If you watch those videos, it's going to help you become significantly better. I put out very high quality content there. I'm currently making 2 videos per day for the website. It is insanely high value, and it's going to help you get to the next rank. So I'll see you guys there. Click the link down below and let's get into the video. All right, now let's get into the honorable mentions. So there's 2. I'm very passionate about both of these heroes. However, I used both of them for the mid lane tier list, and I was like, nah, I don't really want to repeat the same heroes. However, I think both these heroes are incredibly good in top tier, especially in pubs right now. Now, the first one is Necro. This one, I think, is incredibly good for pubs, especially considering the fact that the hero now scales better than ever. Why? Number 1, his ulti is based around buffing himself. If you get a Reaper Scythe kill, it now buffs you. So you're better as a scaling core, better for carrying the game. And number 2, you can buy your shard 5 minutes earlier, which allows you to snowball your game faster. Why? Because it lets you one-shot waves. I'm not going to get too much into it. I covered this in the mid lane video. However, I think Necro is a great hero in the offlane. It puts a lot of pressure on safe laners who cannot deal with high, consistent magical damage. All I would say is keep a point and go shroud if you need it, all right? If you're against a CK or you're against an AM with the Grimstroke, take your point in W. Do not make the mistake of not skilling it and dying in stupid ways. That is all I have to say there. Buy your shard, go from there. The second one is Pugna. This might be my favorite hero of the patch. It feels so dominant to me. The laning stage is absolutely freaking incredible. The high movement speed, when combined with your high attack range, consistent attack damage, and just consistent low mana, high damage nuke in Nether Blast, just allows Pugna to be a dominant laner. And getting into the mid game, man, I just feel like the current state of Netherwart is nuts. 25% less spell damage. It's one of those things where it's hard to see it in the fight, right? You're watching the fight, you're like, is this really that good? The answer is yes. 25% less damage to every single hero in the team fight, right? Netherwart is a huge radius. It's going to hit everybody. It's insane. So I'm very passionate about these heroes. I think Pugna's a little bit difficult. Pretty hard hero to play, but Necro, much easier, very powerful. Both these heroes, keep them in mind. But all right, coming in at number 5 is another very difficult but very potent hero, and that is Brewmaster. Now, I think the best way to play Brewmaster in pubs is as follows. You actually start the laning stage with 2 circlets and 2 gauntlets. No regen. You ship the regen after the bounty runes. I recommend buying 6 tangos basically as soon as possible and then following it up with bracers. From there, I recommend buying an urn. The reason why this is good is urn proc Cinder Brew. So basically you can check out your Cinder Brew and then you can earn them and they'll take a lot of damage. This is going to be the way in which you're going to close the gap for your ulti or Thunderclap depending on the situation. However, if you guys did not know, they heavily buffed or at least change Brewmaster's E. It's a very confusing spell now that does cause you to have to spam Brewmaster to really maximize the value of Drunken Brawler, but essentially it has 3 different stances, one that gives crit, one that gives movement speed and evasion, and one that gives armor and magic resist. Obviously, if you know what you're doing and you can switch between the 3, it's going to allow you to be a very devastating hero when used properly. And how do I recommend you build this hero? Well, as I mentioned, bracers are great. And the reason why I love the current state of bracers for Brew is I love buying big items on Brew. You might be thinking, oh, Speed, you're gonna recommend Ags. As much as I like Ags, I actually think Radiance is better for pubs. it does cause you to have to kind of win the lane to make this item worth your while. So if the game is going shitty, I recommend you go back for Ags or something like a Lotus. Don't go Radiance if your game is poor. But if you can get to that point, you can hit incredibly hard. If you don't know how the current Drunken Brawler works, you can have a 75% chance to crit extremely hard if you are affected by your own Cinder Brew. It's a little bit confusing. I don't want to get too much onto that in this video. I'll save that for a Brewmaster guide on the website. So if you want to know how to play the hero, go sign up to the gameleap website. But I like this hero. I think it's good. I think the stances are good for the laning stage, and the hero scales quite well with Radiance into Ags, into Refresher. This is the build I would generally go. Coming in at number 4 is my sleeper pick for the video, and that is Undying. I really like this hero as an offlaner. It was changed in the way that Tombstone now sucks against creeps. In the past, Tombstone could farm ancient stacks. Now it can't. They changed the damage type of zombies. My friend recently taught me this. However, it does more damage to heroes. It did get nerfed, so it doesn't absolutely shred them like it did at the beginning of the patch, but Undying is still one of the highest win rate heroes of the patch. Why? Because zombies now do more damage to heroes. So what do? Here's what I recommend. There's a lot of different item builds you can go on this offlane Undying, but personally what I'm a fan of is going for 2 bracers into phase boots. Often I like raindrops, wand as well, just really build up onto early stats, and after that I like to go drums. The reason why is you're going to build your shard at around minute 15 to 17. After you get your phase, stats, and drums, you then buy shard. What shard lets you do is have 35 seconds less on your ultimate. That was recently buffed by 5 seconds in the recent patch. And you're going to have a lot of attack speed with a very early shard timing. So not only can you use your Flesh Golem a lot more in the early game and really play around tempo with this spell as it reduces it to a 95-second cooldown, but also you're going to be building up stronger zombies that now do more damage to heroes. On top of that, Boots of Bearing later on to the game for Undying is fantastic. This is a hero that naturally gets kited by slows. If you go Boots of Bearing later on to the game, you cannot get slowed. That's going to allow you to close the gap with your Flesh Golem, stay on top of people, or disengage whatever you need. Now, in terms of talents, the main one I want you guys to understand is I actually recommend still maxing out your Q, right? I recommend you max out Q as early as possible. This is going to be your farming spell and your laning spell. And then at level 10, I recommend you take the Decay damage talent. This is going to allow you to 2-shot creep waves and farm very quickly, regardless of the fact that Tombstone was nerfed against creeps. Coming in at number 3, we have Legion Commander. This is a hero that's always generally high win rate in pubs. It's a very good hero when it comes to your average pub because the later the game goes, the more dual damage you get. It's very simple. The hero is also obviously a very good laner. And recently it was buffed in terms of its ability to solo carry the game within its shard. So I'm a big fan of this current version of Legion. I recently made a video on this YouTube channel on the hero, so if you're snowballing on Legion, you can go the double bracer build, which is very strong on this hero in the lane, and especially at minute 25, and then you can go into a Blade Mail with obviously phase boots, into a Blink Dagger, BKB, with your shard. I would generally buy the shard after Blink and Blade Mail. Sometimes you can buy it just after Blade Mail if you really want to go crazy on just chasing people down, and you can go from there. Coming to number 2, this one's a bit of a hot take, but it is a very high win rate hero of the patch, and that is Sand King. I honestly just feel like Sand King is a powerful hero right now. I will say if you are going to play Sand King, you need to learn the different types of lanes that this hero either does well against or struggles against. If you cannot adapt to the laning stage as Sand King, you will occasionally just completely feed and have no impact. However, if you get off to a good start, what I recommend you do is rush Vanguard, then go into Blink. This item build makes you incredibly tanky, and then when you initiate, you actually stay alive. Personally, I think the best way to play Sand King is in defending your mid tier 1, basically just sandstorming the mid lane after you've won your lane, right? You hopefully take your tower in the off lane just by consistently cutting the wave, then you rotate over to mid and prevent your mid tier 1 from ever following, and eventually taking their tier 1 just as a natural effect of shoving in the wave. On top of that, if you're really going crazy and you want to go for a solo build, cool little solo build on Sand King, basically you can go E-Blade now. Obviously the Kaya gives you Spell Amp, and it then builds into E-Blade. And this is honestly a great item on Sand King. Even if it doesn't get used for its offensive purposes in teamfights, it can be used to save you from pesky right-clickers. The reality of Sand King is this hero has shit armor. Its armor's horrible. It's one of the lowest armor heroes in the mid to late game. So you need a way to survive against physical damage. E-Blade is obviously a fantastic option for that, and yes, E-Blade kind of has this issue where it doesn't make you tanky inherently. It only gives 5 strength and no built-in status resist or resistances at all. But in the right game against right-clickers, a hero like PA or Sven, it not only allows you potentially to one-shot them if they don't have BKB, but it also allows you to keep yourself alive. So I love this item on this hero as well. And finally, last but not least, is kind of depressing to say, but it's Death Prophet. The reason why it's sad is this hero was one of the top meta offlaners of last patch. Now, the win rate isn't insane. In fact, it might be one of the lower win rate heroes on this list. So you might be like, Speed, why number 1? Well, to be honest, it's number 1 in my eyes. I think this hero is just kind of insane. It has a dominant laning stage. It scales well. It has timings at every stage of the game. It basically doesn't have very many flaws. Its only flaw is its ultimate cooldown. That's always been the case for DP, but they buffed it. This was one of the best heroes of the patch in my opinion, and they buffed it. If you are wondering how, the Shard, if you don't know what it does on DP, it gives you 1 extra charge of Spirit Siphon, good. And then, if the Spirit Siphon stays on the enemy for 4 seconds, it fears them. That's what it was. Now, it's 3 seconds. You may be like, Speed, that's not a big deal. It's 1 second. 1 second is a huge deal. It is a massive deal. That is a 25% buff, if you want to look at it in that way, but it really feels like a huge difference. If you play DP, you know what I'm talking about. This was a massive buff. The 4 seconds was just slightly too long. Usually they can disengage. 3 seconds, it's kind of this nice threshold where, yeah, sometimes they're still going to get away, but a lot of the time, more often than not, you're going to be able to get this fear off. You're still going to be able to stay on top of them after the fear, and you're going to be able to get some big kills. And so I kind of hate to say it, DP at number 1. I love playing this hero though. Man, DP, this hero, you can shart on kids in the lane. It's just an unbelievable laner. High movement speed, decent armor, good damage, a low mana nuke. If they go on you, you just Spirit Siphon them. If you're stomping the lane, you just aggressively Spirit Siphon. It's an insane hero. It's an insane hero. You just have to know how to spam Spirit Siphons in lane. And personally, the item build I recommend you go is Phase Boots with 2 nulls, or Phase Boots with 1 null, wand, into a Windlace, into a Kaya Sanj. The reason why is you really want Kaya so you can farm in the early game. I really recommend you guys generally play around scaling. However, if the game sucks for DP, you can go a defensive item. Sometimes you can rush BKB, you can go Hood in specific games if you're against like a Pugna or a Zeus, you can go Force Staff, you can go Yules, but I personally like going Kaya Sanj if I win my lane. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what role I should do next. I guess I've done mid lane and safe lane, so position 4 and 5, maybe I'll just put them together. We'll have to see. Nonetheless, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace. And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.